I just can't believe all the things people say. Controversy. Do I believe in God? Do I believe in Mac Jones? Controversy. Yeah, it's here, guys. It's a quarterback controversy. The Niners won a game, and that's important. That they're 4-1. That's super important. But what's more important is that Mac has officially returned. It's the return of the Mac. I don't know where he went, but he's back. And he's the best quarterback on the 49ers. I don't want to sugarcoat this or pussyfoot around it. He's the best quarterback on the 49ers. He's everything that people thought Brock Purdy was and isn't. I'm going to tell you one thing that Brock Purdy does better than Mac Jones. Run around. Except now with the toe injury. He's better at scrambling than Mac Jones. Mac Jones is better at everything else. He has more anticipation than Brock. He's more accurate than Brock. He has a stronger arm than Brock. He's smarter than Brock. He's tougher than Brock. He's a better leader than Brock. He's more clutch than Brock. He's less flappable than Brock. Plays through injury better than Brock. You know what he looked like today? A former first-round pick. You know what Brock looked like this year? A former seventh-round pick. You know why? Because that's what they are. And you can see the difference. Brock was on a really good team. And I don't know, I'm going to blame Ryan G. Hensley. I think it's 100% Ryan's fault. Because a couple years ago, he started calling Brock Purdy a dink and dunk quarterback. And I think Brock took that like to heart. And now he doesn't dink nor dunk. He neither dinks nor dunks anymore. He is the check down. He always wants to run around as if he's more athletic than Christian McCaffrey or whatever guy you could throw it to. Not Mac. Mac actually checks the ball down. Mac gets rid of the ball. He's more decisive than Brock Purdy. He gets rid of the ball quicker than Brock Purdy, which means he's a better fit for this system than Brock Purdy. I feel like Kyle Shanahan has been holding back his frustration for more than a year. Last year when they lost to Arizona, he pretty much verbally undressed Brock Purdy at his locker because Purdy kept holding onto the ball. And now you have a quarterback who executes the offense the way Kyle wants it executed. And you can see that Kyle Shanahan calls games differently for Mac. I mean, for Brock, am I sweating? He would like run the ball a lot and wouldn't want him to throw more than 30 times a game because the thing about Brock, good quarterback, turns the ball over a lot. We've seen that. With Mac, Kyle doesn't seem to have any apprehension about calling 30, 39, 45, 50 freaking dropbacks. Mac Jones threw 49 passes in this game and got intercepted 0 times. That is something Brock has never done and frankly will never do. He's not that guy. He was a hell of a quarterback for this team for a time. And that time is over. This is Mac's team now. And I think they know it. Now, who knows? He's hurt now. He might miss next week. We'll see what they say about him tomorrow. And the way Kyle Shanahan goes through quarterbacks, they might need Brock again in 2 weeks. Who knows? But before the game, it was reported that Brock Purdy had a setback with his toe, that he re-aggravated it and made it worse. And he could miss a few weeks. Well, miss a few weeks. Don't come back until it's 100% healthy, because unless you're 100% healthy and you can move around and scramble, you're not better than Mac Jones. And really, Brock's scrambling, his mobility has, I think, taken away from his ability as a passer, because all of a sudden, he's the one holding the ball more than 3 seconds per play on average. He's the one making the offensive line look bad. With Mac out there, like, the offensive line looked pretty good. Now, on key plays, they got dominated because the Rams pass rush is serious. But for most of the game, the Niners won the battle of the trenches on that side of the ball because Mac gets rid of the ball on time when you're supposed to. Plays with great rhythm. Now, he had 2 touchdown drives in his first 2 drives of the game, and then they really didn't score another touchdown the whole way. He got hurt, stayed in the game. So it wasn't super pretty, and he wasn't the best quarterback on the field. It was Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford's a future Hall of Famer. I don't know that Mac Jones is. But Mac Jones wasn't that much worse than, Matthew Stafford was excellent and Mac Jones was excellent minus, and he won. And the Rams have a better defense, and they have more weapons. Mac Jones won this game. I mean, this is one of the most legendary wins in like Niners franchise history. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to oversell this one, but he beat the freaking Rams, their number one rival, without Kittle, Ayuk, Jennings, Pearsall. He was throwing to Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne, who, yes, I started on my dynasty team today, and Tonjes. He was throwing to Tonjes, Bourne, and McCaffrey. Who does that? I'm telling you, man, 100% healthy Brock Purdy probably doesn't win this game because the running game isn't working. No disrespect to Christian McCaffrey. I know it's not just him, although he's not the runner he used to be. Still a hell of a player. But the running game isn't working. So the Niners have to have a new identity on offense. And you know what that identity is? Pass the fuck out of the ball. And you know who can do that? Mac Jones. Controversy. Prince is Team Mac Jones. That's what I heard. Do I believe God? Do I believe me? I had so much fun watching this game. And it was a pleasure to watch Mac, not because I felt like I'm watching the next Steve Young, but he got his ass kicked out there physically, and we knew it was going to happen. He came in gimpy. It got worse. He kept battling, and in the overtime, he was terrific. So he's a leader. He's tough. He's a warrior. He earned his teammates' respect. They know they can win with him, and I feel like they've got to have some questions about Brock, considering Brock is freaking 6-10 in his last 16 starts. Mac Jones has won 3 in a row. You know what that means? He's the hot hand. You know what that means? They can't go back to Brock. They really can't. What they can say is that Brock's toe hurts and he's going to be out for a while. But this is Mac's team until he loses. Like, he's a pitcher. He's a starting pitcher who's essentially perfect through 3 innings. You know what you're not going to do? Take him out of the fucking game. That's your guy. And who knows? Maybe he'll never have stuff like this in the future. But for now, he has it. So roll with it. He gives you the ability to throw a lot without turning the ball over. This is new. Jimmy couldn't do that. Brock hasn't been able to do that. Kaepernick couldn't throw the ball a lot. Who were we? When was the last time the Niners had a quarterback like this? Wasn't Alex Smith? I mean, Garcia, Young? Mac Jones is not Steve Young. But tonight he played like Tom Brady Jr. I didn't think Mac Jones was a good quarterback coming out of college. I was wrong. I'm not particularly good at scouting quarterbacks. Neither are the Niners. But I thought he was weak. I didn't think he was a good leader. I was wrong. He's not just a system fit for this team. He's a good quarterback. And he's going to be successful if he leaves this team. And thank goodness the Niners signed him to a 2-year deal because you don't want him to go. He might be your quarterback. We've seen Brock with the best version of this team. He went to the Super Bowl and lost. We haven't seen what Matt can do with this team. And so far, the answer is not lose. Remember when Brock first got the job, he had a 7-game winning streak. When Jimmy first got the job, he had like a 5 or 6-game winning streak. 5-game winning streak. When quarterbacks really take to this system, they take off. And Mac is taking off, and he hasn't even freaking played with George Kittle yet. He hasn't played with Brandon Ayuk yet. Now, he is playing with the guys that he practiced with all offseason, and maybe that helps. But this offense has been a freaking mess all year. And all of a sudden, it's not. It's actually pretty good with Mac Jones in there. It doesn't commit a bunch of turnovers. It doesn't beat itself. And it can be pass first. When was the last time Kyle Shanahan had an offense like this? If he had Matthew Stafford the last 5 years, he could have called plays like this. But he didn't. He had Brock. So he had the training wheels on. And now he's got Mac Jones, and he's calling plays like he has prime Kurt Warner. It makes me like Kyle better to see him call plays like this. It makes me respect him more as a coach. Should we talk about Kyle Shanahan? I didn't do a Kyle Shanahan banner. So let me get into that. Let me write that. Kyle Shanahan. I'm going to take some super chats first, though. So 25? Shit. I'm going to go through them. Such and says, sing for us, GC. 10 saved my life. Return of the Mac Daddies. Words of Wisdom says, Kyle went from a Glock Purdy to a Mac 10. It's always an upgrade. The Japanese Niners fan says, I know you like to hate on him, but have you given Shanahan all the credit in the world for today? All right, let's get right into it. That was one of the best Kyle Shanahan performances I've ever seen. I don't know where that came from or where it went. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Cotton Eye Joe. I'm calling him Cotton Eye Joe from now on because where was that the last year? He was brilliant in the first half. His script was one of the best scripts I've seen from him. He ran out of ideas midway through the second quarter and held on for dear life. But what I liked about him was his unwavering trust in Mac Jones. And I like that he definitely took my advice. I did a show with former Raiders offensive coordinator Tom Walsh. And you guys don't understand this. Tom Walsh, he's such a nice guy. He's smiling. He's retired. Just a sweet old guy talking to him. And the Shanahans have history. Tom Walsh was on Mike Shanahan's staff with the Raiders. These guys know each other. So when Tom Walsh says something on my show like, hey, Kyle, you should do this, I bet you someone passes it to him. And what Tom said was like, look, Kyle, you got to get two tailbacks on the field. Remember, the Raiders had Marcus Allen and Bo Jackson. This is something Tom did. You need to get both tailbacks on the and that's exactly what Kyle did in this game. Frequently in the first half, Brian Robinson in the backfield with Christian McCaffrey at wide receiver. Yes. I love that. I'm not saying that Christian McCaffrey can't be a running back anymore, but I think he's objectively better as a receiver than he is a runner. So use him that way. And teams aren't prepared to face what Tom calls 21 rocket. That's two tailbacks. You don't need Juszczyk in there. Throwing to Juszczyk is fine. Handing off to Juszczyk on the 1 yard line, don't ever do that again, Kyle. That was bad, Kyle. The rest of the game was good, Kyle. He went conservative late when he was pinned on his 1 yard line and didn't pass the ball. In retrospect, he made the right call. I'd rather take a freaking safety there than throw an incomplete pass. So, I mean, he didn't. McVay has more guts. Going for it on 4th down was gutsy. But handing it off to Kyron Williams again after he already fumbled in that situation, like that's the best play you got, Sean. It's the best play. Now, there were other moments from Kyle. He called back-to-back quarterback sneaks for the gimpy Mac Jones, which was dangerous. Also on 3rd and 2, you called a pass and didn't help out Colton Kivitz at all, so he got beat, and the guy who beat him hit Mac Jones, and Mac Jones almost got injured, or did, but stayed in the game. So Kyle wasn't perfect, but it was the best he's done in a long time. He did a freaking good job. And Saleh did a good job, too. I'll get to the defense in a little bit, but I did want to give Kyle Shanahan props because I don't often. He knew he was going to win this game. He freaking knew he was going to win this game. The 8.5-point underdogs with a bunch of backups on national television against your main rival, and he reminds the whole world why he's really freaking good. And, of course, the Kyle Shanahan experience means that probably Mac Jones will get hurt in 3 weeks. I don't want to say that out loud, but, can't keep a quarterback healthy for more than a month. It's a roller coaster with Kyle, but you know what? Today was freaking fun, and his stock is way up. Now let's talk about someone else. Unlikely hero. I'm going to get to him in a minute, though. I'm going to hit some more super chats because they're coming in fast. Nathan Flores, member for 49 months. Thank you for your continued support, Nathan. Says, return to the Mac, 3-0 in the West, Dub City. Joe says, Grant, you know what we say at times like this, same old sorry-ass Rams. Andres Gonzalez says, there was something in the air tonight. The stars were bright. Fernando, I love you, Grant Cohn. I love you too. Andres. Daz says, after tonight, imagine what Matt would look like with all the Niners weapons and a really good O-line, which they could have with all the extra money, not paying Brock. Can they get that contract off the books today? Can they say psych? Be like, we were joking. That was a joke. That was for comic relief. It was funny. Because I laughed. Bill Kennedy says the Niners are the most expensive backup quarterback in the NFL. You guys are awful. Big Tim 3 says, let's not blame Ryan. Let's thank him, LOL. Yeah. Victor Martinez says, Mac Jones is our future franchise quarterback. Julian Cortez says, Grant, be for real. You were hyped on that last play. I was hyped. I was so hyped when this game went to overtime. I was like, yes, it's the best game I've ever covered. Fernando Brisolese says, what a game by Bourne. Okay, let's talk about Kendrick. So, Mac Jones is a warrior, right? Kendrick Bourne is a freaking warrior. It's one thing to be physically tough, which all football players are. And I'm not. Comparatively, I'm a tough guy. But mental toughness, the ability to not get down on yourself and to bounce back is something that any human being can relate to and admire. And that dude has it. Who knew? He was embarrassing himself. He had 3 drops on Sunday against the Jaguars. Now, in his defense, he was playing with Brock, who he doesn't have much experience with. Still, the ball hit him in the freaking hands. He should have caught those passes. Comes back today, drops a key pass in the red zone on 3rd down. And you're thinking, like, dude, don't ever throw this guy the ball again. But Mac Jones, the freaking leader that he is, says something to him on the sideline. I don't know. They're teammates from New England. Tells him he still believes in him and not to get down on himself. I guess that's what he said after the game. Mac goes back to him a bajillion times and he catches all the passes. He's the freaking hero of the team, of the game. Wow. Had the best game of his career. Randomly against the Rams when the Niners absolutely had to have it. He's not the player he was 4 years ago, and yet this was his best game ever. Wow. What a performance. What a competitor. Not the athlete he was 4 years ago, but as good of a competitor as anyone on the freaking team. They don't win this game without Kendrick Bourne. They don't. And you know what? I freaking knew he was going to do it. I picked him up in my dynasty team. I started him. I was happy about that. I played Tonjes as well. I would have started Mac Jones, but I had Matthew Stafford and it worked out. But what I want to say, so I got a story. I'm in the locker room. I'm interviewing people. I want to get the intel in the locker room. Talking to Lenore, post that on my YouTube channel. Check it out. I walk back in the interview room and Kendrick Bourne is talking. So I'm on the side. I don't go to my seat where I'm right in front. I'm on the side because I don't want to like walk in front. And my video editor who makes my TikToks, Maj, who I stream with, does a great job. I send him my instant reaction. He waits for the highlights, cuts it up into a TikTok, sends it back to me. So as I'm walking into the Kendrick Bourne press conference, I get the TikTok. I want to post it. So I download it. I'm standing there. I open TikTok. I hate that app because I'm a boomer. And I forget that as soon as you open the app, it's just like video, audio, blah, 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 blah. So like I'm used to opening TikTok, which is Twitter, which is like quiet at first. TikTok's like in your face. So my audio is up. And the first video they feed me, their algorithm, is Larry Krueger talking about Kendrick Bourne. And I think it was like an instant reaction. And like the first thing Luke Krueger says is, who is Kendrick Bourne? And it's like super loud on my phone in the press conference room. Everyone hears it. Kendrick looks to me and goes like, Grant, what the hell? I'm like, it was Larry. It was Larry. So I'm so embarrassed. I leave the interview room. Kendrick finishes. He walks out. And I'm like, man, I'm so sorry. That was Larry. And he was praising you. And he was so happy. He gave me a hug. I didn't know he knew my name. He probably doesn't like me because I don't like me. Who likes me? No one likes me. My mom liked me. But he was so happy. He was in love with the whole world. And he was so happy he even gave me a hug. So shout out to Kendrick Bourne. I like a good hug. I told people, if you want me to be nice to you, give me a hug. I'm a hugging guy. So now Kendrick Bourne is now one of my favorite players. That's the story. I got more stories for you. So as I'm outside, before Kendrick comes out, I just sequestered myself because I was embarrassed. Christian McCaffrey comes walking down. He's going to talk after Kendrick. So it's one of these like little awkward moments where I'm just standing there next to Christian. It's 2 of us. We're never in a position like that. In the locker room, we wouldn't acknowledge each other. He's all-pro football player. I'm all-pro shit stirrer. I mean, we're not going to acknowledge each other. But in this moment, in the hall, yeah. So he just walks in and gives this deep sigh, like, man, I just played really hard. Goes, how you doing, Grant? And I was like, man, that was the best game I've ever covered. He was like, really? And he said it in such a way like, you enjoyed that? I was like, yeah, man. How are you feeling? He's like, man, I'm good. He's like, that's one of the most enjoyable games I've ever played. So it was nice to just have a little moment where he actually cared what I thought. You really thought that was a great game? Yeah, man. Everyone thought that was a great game. And then the other thing I said was, not to like start a controversy or anything. I just wanted to say, I was like, hey, man, Mac Jones is a freaking warrior. And he was like, he got very serious. Like, yeah, he is. He like I had said the perfect word to describe Mac. So then Christian goes up to the podium. Go back and watch his interview. Someone asked him about Mac right off the bat, and he says, he's a leader. He's a warrior. So I helped Christian with that answer. I am officially ghostwriting Christian's press conferences, and I got to tell you, I'm honored to do so because he's the best of the best. One of the best players I've ever covered, and the fact that he said my name and hung out with me for 15 seconds means that I'm now a Christian McCaffrey fan. So let's review his performance. The numbers rushing weren't great. 22 carries, 57 yards, pretty much par for the course. 8 yards was long, 2.6 was the average. Is it partly him? Yeah, he would acknowledge that privately. Is it partly the blocking? Absolutely. Is it partly the fact that all the receivers are hurt and teams are really focusing on stopping him? Obviously. Despite all that, he still carried the ball 22 times. They wouldn't have won this game without having some balance. He kept getting up. He had some really tough, important runs. And as a receiver, he's so good. 9 targets, 8 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown. That's a receiving line that any wide receiver would be proud of, and that's a running back. Kendrick Bourne led the team in receptions, targets, yards, but McCaffrey was the most important receiver. You can't run your passing offense through him, but using him the right way and the right time makes you pretty tough to beat. And what I want to say is, like, we've seen Brock with Christian. We saw Jimmy with Christian. We've seen those guys without Christian. There's a huge difference. There's a huge impact that he makes on quarterbacks. And it's always been as a receiver. Without Kittle, this team isn't going to run the ball well. And I don't know if Christian's ever going to be a dominant runner again, but as a receiver, he's the best. And if the Niners can commit to this, use him more on the line of scrimmage as a receiver in motion, their offense is going to take off. That's the identity of the offense. Christian as this, like, wide receiver / running back. He's the new Debo. So it's cool to see him having such a good year. I just wrote him off. I could have drafted him in fantasy, and I took Derrick Henry instead, he looks washed. Christian gets the ball 8 million times a game. Henry gets it 3 times. I feel stupid. I feel like, anyway, good for Christian. I'm not trying to jinx anything, but it's looking like he's going to have a hell of a year, even if he's averaging 3 yards a carry. Let's do some more super chats because there are like 50 of them. What a game by Bourne. Daz's most exciting Niners game in over a year. First overtime game since the Super Bowl, too, and they won it. Big Tim 3 says, I've seen a different aura with this team while Jones is playing. The team seems stiff with Purdy. It does seem stiff with Purdy, right? He's loosened him up. Mac, here's a question. If Mac were the Niners starting quarterback in 2023, would they have won the Super Bowl? If Mac was the Niners starting quarterback, would he have led a touchdown drive at the end of the fourth quarter, at the end of overtime, or would he have settled for field goals as well? I don't know. They might have won it. Brock's good, but the only reason he was even in the Super Bowl is because he threw a deep pass that hit a Lions defender in the face mask, and it bounced to Brandon Ayuk. That was the best throw Brock made in that game. Without face mask catch, they don't go to the Super Bowl. I'm just pointing that out. 7NP says, there were actual Niners fans last week that tried to underplay Mac Jones' wins against NO and Arizona to damage control Purdy's horrible performance last week. History might be repeating itself. Isn't it interesting that Brock was Mr. Irrelevant and then he became Cinderella because Jimmy Garoppolo broke his foot? Now Brock has a foot injury and he's Mr. Irrelevant again because Mac Jones has taken his job or stepped in. Kind of interesting how that goes. It all comes back to the foot. Dylan Respects says, remember when you said your proudest moment was blocking Kyle Shanahan from drafting Mac Jones? Ooh, I did say that. Fuck. All right, in my defense, I'm not right all the time. And I've grown a lot since then. I've learned so much about football and life. And I just want to say that I apologize to Mac and Kyle and the whole faithful in the organization, because I hold myself to a higher standard as quality control, and I feel like I've done a good job recently. But that was I got to own that one. Dr. David English. I don't 5,000 ruples. Probably Rupel says, I wasn't going to watch the game, but I'm glad I did. What a freaking shocker. My mouth was open and all most of the game. In Bourne We Trust. Great game. Our 2-cent TV says, backyard boogie, oogie, oogie, back 10. Anthony Adams says, Brock's setback was actually Kyle rewatching Max film versus Zona. LOL, Purdy is done. Brockopolo. Michael Alaniz says, CMC Trent comments on Mac. He's won them over. Yeah, me too. Rogelio is a new member. Thank you. Andrew Powell. MVP Purdy, don't take away from my copium. Shady Luke says, I can smell the quarterback controversy. Julian Cortez says, if Mac goes in a similar run to Purdy in 2022, how do you see the Niners approaching the quarterback position next year? How do you go back to Brock if it's Brock's because of the contract? That's disheartening. I mean, if Mac keeps winning, then he's the quarterback. If Mac wins a Super Bowl, then it's a good problem to have. But yeah, I don't know. We're still in October. Kane fan 57 says, if Mac would have rushed for 0.5 more yards, I would have won $600 on Prize Picks. Should have picked the under, but that's my QB. If only he'd gotten that one quarterback sneak. Jesse Jr. says, Mac had his pants down, ass out, gagging in exhaustion at the end. Gutsy performance. Shady Luke said that MF for Mac is accurate as fuck. Accurate QBs are nice. I'm telling you, I think other teams are looking at the Niners being like, oh, shit. Oh, God. They got a quarterback with an arm now. We got to defend the whole field when we face the Niners. Damn. And we don't know his tendencies in this offense. Damn. All of a sudden, Tampa's like, man, can we please face Brock next week? Can we please face Brock next week? Nope. Bananas out for Mac tonight. He said he only ate 3. Who said he ate 11? Crispy One says, will Mac Jones take Purdy's job if he's winning? Yes. If I have anything to say about it. Ruben Bocanegra says, I'm drunk. LOL. Big EST talk away. LOL. Bang, bang. Andrew Powell says, scurrying back to Lombardi for more pro-Purdy rhetoric. CM Top Fly says, and the QB1 is drum rolls, Mac Jones. Who? KS Life says, can we get a Fernando, Grant? Fernando. Kyle McAndrew says, we need a Fernando or Pinheiro. Those kicking balls are ridiculous, man. They're like made out of helium. They gotta get rid of those. Abyss 007 says, trade Brock Purdy. Don't fall in love with the stories. MJ is better. End of discussion. Niners need pass rush ASAP. They do need pass rush ASAP. Mike Henry says, D-line and secondary need improvement. Trades. All right, let's talk about trades. We can talk about trades. I will do big picture later. Hold on. I changed my mind on that. T Young says, the Shanny man. Johnny C says, yeah, Stafford's better, but Mac outplayed Stafford tonight. Got the win with considerably less. True. T Young says, give Kyle a ring for that win. Kendrick Bourne Mustang. Devin Rose says, Bourne took a shot at you during the post game. I'll take it. Shout out to Kendrick. Bourne made it up this game. T Young says, my guy Grant is dripping his sweat tonight. Fernando. Barry Baller member for 49 months. Okay, I'll come back to those. Let's talk defense. It's incredible that the Niners defense made so many plays because for long stretches of the game, it felt like they couldn't stop the Rams offense. It felt like Robert Saleh was sort of in a no-win situation. There was no right call. It's like if he tried to rush 4 and play coverage, he couldn't get any pressure on Stafford. And if you rush 4 and play zone and let him stand there, you're going to get destroyed, which they did for stretches. So, of course, in like key situations, you want to bring pressure and rush 5. And Saleh tried. And when he did, it seemed like there'd always be a holding penalty on a DB or an illegal contact or a defensive pass interference penalty. Felt like anything he did, the Niners couldn't pull it off. They couldn't cover well enough to blitz. They couldn't rush well enough to not blitz. And yet, on the freaking goal line, Alfred Collins saves the day. Alfred Collins. Is he good? I don't know. Guess so. He's clutch. And then on the final play, Chase Lucas and Marquise Siegel. Marquise Siegel, I think he's good. He gets burned in coverage, but he's right there. It's not like he's giving up separation. He just doesn't play the ball well, and that's fixable. sometimes. So he's promising. And then after getting torched a few times in this game, he makes the play of the day. Also, Chase Lucas replaces Upton Stout and is right there on that final tackle. Upton Stout's interesting. He's got a lot of potential. He's an interesting rookie. I think Chase Lucas might be better than him, at least right now. It seemed like the Rams were singling out Stout and really targeting him. And once he left the game with an ankle injury and Lucas came in, they didn't do that to Lucas. I mean, if you watch Lucas tape from the preseason, you'd think maybe that's a guy we don't go after. Renardo Green played his freaking ass off. He was good in this game. He might have been their best cornerback. Lenore had some penalties. After the game, he was adamant that he was just playing good defense, and I tend to believe him. And with the game on the line, he broke up a pass in the end zone. He's a good player. And he was there, the first guy to make contact on Kyron Williams on the final play. So gutsy performance, but it's hard to look at this defense and be like, yeah, they're top 5. They're elite because they don't have a pass rush. And they're, Upton Stout was a bit of a liability. Marquise Siegel, bit of a liability. D. Winters, who the fuck was supposed to be covering Kyron Williams on those check? He was wide open multiple times with no one around. He dropped one pass with no one around. I'm like, what was that? Fred Warner looked disgusted on those plays. It wasn't him. I'll have to go back and look at the tape with my football IQ because I know ball. I'll figure it out. Don't worry. I'll let you know. They need to trade for a defensive end. We'll talk big picture, but they need to trade for a pass rusher. Mykel Williams, good player, not a pass rusher. Bryce Huff, excellent pass rusher. That's one guy. Sam Okwanu, not a pass rusher. Alfred Collins, playmaker, but not a pass rusher. Yatur Gross-Matos, hurt. They got to get a D-line. They got to go get Chase Young. Where's Chase? Just kidding. Not Chase. But someone. Any position. Because until they do, I don't know about this team. Ty Young says, Juszczyk split out slant for first down was wild. As I always said, you got to get Juszczyk the ball. Just don't hand it to him. Niners Daddy says, Mac Daddy is QB1. He is the far better quarterback on this team. True warrior and genuine guy. Need to get money back from Brock contract. He owes Niners a lot of money. Popped a molly. I'm sweating. Woo! Says T Young. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Kenny says, best thing about Mac is he spreads the ball around. I agree. Austin Rodriguez says, AP shitster is accurate. Thank you. David Trinidad says, Brock makes Mac look like Joe Montana. Thoughts? You said it. Ivan P says, after this game, I've seen enough. We go into the Super Bowl. Graham Adair says, maybe they should pay Mac $53 million a year. Just saying, no, don't. Draco says, Grant, I told you to take Robinson over 9.5 yards. I think I did. Did I not? David Trinidad says, are Mac's spirals immaculate as Stafford's, in your opinion? Not quite, but they're quite immaculate. Stefan says, Mac is a product of his weapons. Bourne, Tonjes, MVS. Stafford only had Devontae, Puka, and Tutu. Yeah. Graham says, they have 6 to 7 great wide receivers when healthy. Watch out. Imad Khan says, come on, man. Healthy Purdy is better than Mac Jones. You're talking about the guy who led us to the Super Bowl and played well in the Super Bowl. Nah. Nope. Because the thing about that is that was a long time ago. And since then, Brock has shown that his decision-making has suffered. His accuracy has suffered. His turnovers are going up. No. I'm telling you, man, the only thing that Brock does better than Mac is scramble. I'm telling you. What does Brock do better than Mac at this point in their careers? I'd love to know because I don't see it. Running around. He's running around. Harkin says, so many players had to dig deep through adversity. This game was inspirational beyond a football game. It's true. That's why I'm so sweaty. Daniel Gorostieta that donates $2. Heavyweight Hank says, have you seen the Rams players after the game? They're devastated. Devontae Adams looks like someone killed his puppy. Popped his balloons too. Alfred Cordova says, if Mac Jones started last week, we'd be 5-0. I'm glad someone said it. Lorenzo Pinto says, shout out to Alfred Collins and Eddie Dinero. Dazza says, do you think Kyle under a lie detector would say he prefers Mac over Brock? Yes. And in like 2 years when they're in the Super Bowl with Mac, he's going to be there at the media day being like, I knew on the first day of training camp that Mac was better. I just didn't know. I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell. Jed, hey, look, you just spent $265. You just put $265 in escrow for this guy, but Max bet I couldn't tell him, but I knew it. Me too. All right, stock up. Whose players' stock is on the rise after this game? A lot of guys. Let's just go through it. Eddie Pinheiro hasn't missed a field goal yet. The guy on the freaking Rams missed a bunch. Pinheiro's good. And what's funny about him, he's supposed to have a weak leg. He can't kick it long. He made a 59-yard field goal. And the thing in the NFL this year is, I guess there's things called kicking balls, and you can bring the balls that you practice with all week, and they're like, I don't know, supercharged. I don't know what they do to them. Maybe put flubber on them, but they seem to go farther. And you're seeing kickers kick farther kicks. And now the Niners' weak-legged, accurate kicker can bomb kicks in from 65. So, good. They should probably change that rule, but until they do, this guy's incredible. Who else? Chase Lucas replacing Upton Stout, Renardo Green, Alfred Collins. He has to be on he's a starting defensive tackle for the Niners now. Like Kalia Davis hurt his hand. Jordan Elliott's fine. Alfred Collins is now starting for this team. Now I'm looking at that pick as like, that was a good pick. Can't say that Mykel Williams' stock is up. He needs to do something as a pass rusher. Kendrick freaking Bourne. Wow. What a time to have the best game of his career. Mac Jones, his stock is up. Christian McCaffrey, even though we can't find any running room, I mean, he's still healthy 5 games into the year. And in this game, he got the ball 31 times. No, excuse me, 30 times. He's getting the ball 30 times a game at 29. And he's fine. Jake Tonjes. I wouldn't say that he's a dude yet. A dude is pretty much the highest compliment you could pay a football player. Fred Warner's a dude. But Jake Tonjes, he's a guy. He's a guy. He's not just a guy. He's a real guy. And when Kittle comes back, Tonjes still needs to be part of the offense because he does more for the offense than the fullback does. He's a better tight end than Luke Farrell, who they give like a 3-year deal to this offseason. He's a legit starting tight end. He could be the heir apparent to Kittle. Not the greatest blocker, but good receiver. Not a bad blocker. Anyone else who I'm forgetting? Kyle Shanahan's stock is up. Robert Saleh's stock is up. I think that's it. Okay. The fallers, the guys whose stock is falling after this incredible win. Yes, some people stock is down. I'm sorry. Not everyone's stock is up. So who would those people be? Well, Colt McKivitz. I'm sorry. They know what Colt McKivitz is. They're paying him $15 million a year. If you're a really good offensive tackle, you're probably making double that. Or at least $10 million more a year. So he's a modest starting offensive tackle. It's okay. But he got worked by Byron Young. He almost got Mac Jones hurt. Not his fault. It's a bad matchup for him. He should get some help. They should have a guy chipping on that side. And if you don't, that's what's going to happen. So him, Dominic Pooney got blown up on that handoff to McCaffrey on 4th down. That went, was it 3rd down, 4th down? That went for negative yard. I think it was 3rd down. It was Pooney. There's also Brendel, Connor Colby. I mean, the 4 of them. They're a huge reason the Niners can't run the ball. When Kittle comes back, that will help. Use check, losing a yard on the goal line. Come on, dude. That was terrible. D. Winters, it seemed like he was getting a little lost out there. I got to watch the film, but like, who was covering Kyron Williams on those plays where he was wide open? No one. Marquise Siegel, Upton Stout, the 2 rookies. I mean, they're battling and they're improving, but they're also getting picked on a little bit. Oh, I'm back. Biggest fall of the night, didn't even play. Brock Purdy, man. He lost the support of his fan base in one month. So, sorry. But at least he got paid, though. I mean, I feel like you don't have to feel bad for Brock. He'll come back. He'll have a shot to get his job back, and he's going to get... Now it's Mac's turn. Okay, big picture. How good are the Niners? They're 4-1. They just beat the Rams. Does that mean the Niners are contenders? Are they Super Bowl contenders? Maybe. Maybe. I mean, you win enough games, you go to the playoffs, you get hot, funny things happen. But it's hard to say that based on this one game that the Niners look like. Does anyone about this game? Huge win. But like, the part of the reason it was such a huge win and so impressive is that they probably shouldn't have won, in the sense that the Rams kind of gave it away. First of all, they didn't even like show up until they were down 14-0. They didn't enter the game until they were down 14-0. After that point, I thought that they essentially outplayed the Niners. They had the better quarterback. They just missed a field goal and an extra point, and they turned it over on downs to end the game, and they fumbled at the 1-yard line. So that's how you lose. If the Niners were to play the Rams again, I don't know that the Niners would win. It would probably be a very close game to go down to the end. Maybe they win. I think they're going to be in close games most of the season. And maybe that's good for them. In 2023, they just blew people out. Then they went to the Super Bowl. We're in a close game, blew it. Maybe this team will be more battle-tested. Maybe the fact that they're not as good as they were 2 years ago means that they'll be more prepared for playoff football or Super Bowl football if they get there. I don't know. I'm not ruling out that this is a Super Bowl contender. It's just hard to look at this game and say this is the proof. Oh, they beat the Rams. Okay, well, yes, they beat the Rams with their backups. Very impressive. But can they keep Mac Jones healthy for 2 weeks? Because if they can't, then they're not. I don't think Brock Purdy's taking him anywhere this year. I think that toe injury is probably going to linger. I think they need Mac. Can they keep him healthy? Is Kittle coming back? Can Christian stay healthy? Can they trade for a defensive end or any defensive lineman? And you know what? They need another running back. No disrespect to Christian. He's a hell of a player, and he can split carries with the running back, and he can be a slot receiver. But Brian Robinson Jr., that's a guy whose stock is falling. He's just not good. Sorry. Bad trade, didn't work out, can't keep forcing it to him. He gives you nothing. The Niners need a running back with some juice. That is the word. And it's not the fullback. He could call himself juice, but he has no juice. Christian, hell of a player, tough, good receiver, lacking a little bit of the juice that he had. A little bit of the juice, and he doesn't have it. So you got to play Isaac Guerrero. You got to play Jordan James, or you got to trade for a running back. Maybe go trade for Breece Hall. He's on the Jets. He seems to be available. Robert Saleh coached him for years, and he played college football with Brock Purdy, which may not be so important anymore considering Brock Purdy just got his job taken by Mac Jones. But he's got a little bit of juice. If the Niners can get another running back that they could play on the field at the same time with Christian McCaffrey, kind of like how they used to do with Debo. They could put Debo in the backfield and Christian in the slot. Now you're talking. They have to do that. If they make those two moves, I'm open-minded on this team being a Super Bowl contender. If they commit to Mac, if Brock Purdy comes back and is a diligent backup, the way Alex Smith was for Colin Kaepernick once upon a time, if they trade for a defensive lineman and another running back emerges, they could try Guerrero. They could try Jordan James. They could sign Corey Kiner off the Vikings practice squad, or they could trade for Breece Hall. I don't care. They got to get someone. And they do those things. I mean, they're not going to be able to improve the offensive line. Maybe Ben Barch comes back and does something, but if they do those things and Kittle comes back, Jennings comes back, Pearsall comes back, maybe. It still comes down to Kyle Shanahan keeping his quarterback healthy. Can he do it for more than a week? I believe he can. I think he can. Believe is a strong word, but I have a feeling that's also a strong. He might be able to do it. Let's put it that way. And there's something to be said for that. Use Napkin says, what football team did you grow up rooting for? The Niners. I was a Niner fan in the 90s. Big Steve Young fan. Loved Jeff Garcia. And stopped rooting for the team in college. And then, really stopped rooting for the team when I became a reporter. But I still, the organization, the franchise means a lot to me. I know the history. I grew up rooting for this team. I know Steve Young. I want the team to mean something and to stand for something. And today they freaking did. I appreciate that. Niles23 says both coaches didn't want to win today. Mac was a dog today. Took a beating and still won. Niners need quarterback bullpen. Different quarterback for every quarter. That's why I call him a quarterback. B. Cruisin says somewhere out there's a Jimmy with a smile on his face. I wish we could see Jimmy play against the Niners one time. Brian Castillo says sing Alejandro for the victory. Alejandro? What's that song? I sing Fernando. I don't know about Alejandro. Ivan P says, who better, Niners or Chiefs? Well, with Mac Jones, the Niners have the better quarterback for sure. Allen says, yo, sub Grant. Brock is. Will Freeze says, I tried to tell you the season wasn't over, but you wouldn't listen. They're a playoff team already and a legit Super Bowl contender, but Brock is better when healthy. No, he's not. And he's not healthy. Hog20 says, people talking about the quarterback, they need a splash at running back. Agree with that. Andrew Peñalosa says, yo, Grant, tell your pops I love him. BT Dub, when you're healthy, you're a top 5 sports journalist. When healthy. I have been healthy in 15 years. Rob Wilson says it's pretty simple about number 10. He just wins. Dominic George says your live streams are always fantastic. Cheers. Thank you. Clark Kent says more than 500 likes. Wow. It's Nick for real says Mac 10 yet to fail us. Should have played Sunday. Agree. Our 2 cents TV says you got to sing the song, Grant. Backyard boogie, oogie, oogie. Mac 10 got his boogie on. I don't know that song. Sir Payne says Mac Jones inspires people. What a warrior. He does. Autumn Jurisic says, I owe Kendrick Bourne an apology. He's not washed. Yeah, Kendrick, if you're watching, we all apologize, man. Sorry. You're not washed. And I started you on my fantasy team. I was just getting the rest of the world to sleep on you so that I could profit. I'm not above it. To all the Cohns, says Joe. Thank you very much, Joe. Sean Shepard says, what's scary with Mac is you know what's coming and he still wins. This many lambs die in 33 AD, plus Jesus lives. His new name is McDummy, fourth and 1 in OT. Really? Robert Sandoval says, Mac Jones, 3 games, 905 passing yards, 6 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. Wasn't it 8 touchdowns? Am I wrong? Brock Purdy, 2 games, 586 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Yeah, it's not good. Coach Fieros, $2. Austin Rodriguez says, if we plan on making a run this year, we need to trade for pass rush. Stafford was too comfortable all day. Line was always identity of Salah's defense. All right, I'm going to get to the rest in a minute. But for now, it is prize picks time. And before I make picks, I just want to show you how good I am at making the picks. So these were my prize picks from the other day. And I forget exactly who I made the picks with. Was it Tyler? Could have been Tyler. Probably Tyler. Anyway, Matthew Stafford, more. Nailed it. Christian McCaffrey, less. Nailed it. Kyron Williams, you bum. All you needed was 69. You got 65. I was close. Jake Tonjes, easy money. Kyle Juszczyk, I had a feeling. And Mac Jones, easy money. So I got $40 for that one. Let's do Monday night football. Cleveland. No. I want to do San Francisco. San Francisco. No, we don't have that. Okay, I guess that's next weekend. Fair enough. View game. Okay. Carson Wentz, passing yards, 197. Ew. Against this team, I'm going to say more because they're not going to be able to run the ball. Jordan Mason, that's a big less. No offense, but Cleveland shut down Derrick Henry. Quinshon Judkins is a baller. Yes, more. Receiving yards. Jordan Addison, also a baller. More, please. Justin Jefferson. More, please. And one more. Jerry Jeudy. All right, I'll say that. I like that. Those are my picks. Only one I don't like is Jordan Mason. I actually have my fantasy team and I'm benching him this week because I had Derrick Henry play against the Cleveland Browns a couple of weeks ago. He got absolutely destroyed. So I gotta learn from that and move on. I'm gonna flex it because I never get all 6 right. But if I get 5 or 4 right, which I normally do, I win something. So if I get all of them right, that's 220. Power would be 440. But you know what? You can't be greedy. Don't be greedy. Submit the lineup. Download the app yourself. Use promo code COHN when you do. And when you play $5, you get $50 instantly in lineups. That's when you download Prize Picks and use promo code COHN. It's on the screen. It's available in 45 of 50 states. All right, more super chats. You guys have given me 107 so far. Thank you. That's what I call free money. Appreciate it. I was hanging out with my friend one time. This was like 4 years ago. I was in Tahoe right after the Niners traded for that pick they used on Trey Lance. And I was like, guys, I got to stream. And they'd never really seen me stream before. So they kind of watched. They were really into the Niners. And when I was done, they were like, hey, I have a question. What's that thing when the people just start giving you money? I was like, yeah, they call that super chats. They're like, so they just give you money? I'm like, yeah. I mean, I just got to read their question and answer it. They're like, oh, I feel like more people should have super chats in their life. People just, but you know what? You got, not everyone can be a super chatter. Jacob says, Grant, I've been watching you for years. I love your take on the Niners. People hate you, but I respect your take. Jacob, I've been watching you for years too. And I want to say that I really respect your take and your general outlook on life. Kevin A says, return to the Mac. There it is. There it is. Josh B says, how many picks would Brock throw with 50 attempts? He floats so many softballs, whereas Mac has immaculate. He was immaculate. Victor Martinez says, it's so nice having a good kicker. Dinero Pinheiro. Austin Rodriguez says, how you think Shanahan going to play the quarterback controversy? He's going to say that Brock's hurt. And then when Mac either gets hurt or has a bad game, Brock will be magically healthy again. Cliff says 3 game balls, 1 to each. Mac on offense, Alfred Collins on defense, and Dinero on special teams. All well-deserved. Bourne and C-Mac, great as well. Let's go Niners. I can't argue with that. Slow Civic says Mac throws some nice deep balls open wide. Coach Fiero says Rams are overrated. Yeah, I could say that. Old Fogey says 0 floaters, 0 wide receiver injuries. It's not a coincidence. Peter says, I think after covering the Niners after a bit, you develop some feelings, Grant. You're a fan, my guy. Shout out Mama Ayuk. Mac is a warrior. If they had lost, I'd be all right. Keneal Mason says, how good can this offense be with Mac and healthy weapons? Also, Kyle deserves props, but man, I hate how he coaches with the lead in the 4th. Go for the kill. Yeah. From your lips to God's ears. Kevin Cook says, if Collins doesn't make that forced fumble on the goal line, is there still a quarterback controversy? Offense scored 3 field goals in the second half. Mac played his ass off, though. Good question. I think them pulling out the win adds to the quarterback controversy. Yes. But again, the fact that Mac didn't lose it, the fact that Mac threw 49 passes and threw no picks, I don't know any other Niners quarterback in the last 25 years who could do that. So that's part of it. Sunday Living says Saleh needs to call more blitzes. Otherwise, good quarterbacks like Stafford will pick us apart. Good play calling by Shanny for once, though. Austin Rodriguez says, appreciate your work, Grant. Barry, a legend. Oh, thank you. Sunday Living says, I get taking away their timeouts and making them earn the score with under a minute, but you have to pass on 3rd down, pass for a first down equals game over. I kind of disagree. Yeah. If you throw an incomplete pass, though, I mean, you lose. I don't know. I actually don't mind that one decision. G-Code Travels Vlog POV says, what if MJ wins a Super Bowl like Brady? What happens to 13? Then he becomes Drew Bledsoe and they trade him to the freaking Tennessee Titans or whatever team wants him. Kilo TW says, it's pretty evident that Kyle wanted to draft Mac instead of Trey, and he was right the whole time. Shout out to Kyle. Big day for Kyle. It's nice being right. Coach Fiero says, Kyle Shanahan, early candidate coach of the year. Moonman says, Larry, what's hating on Kendrick? Larry was hating on Kendrick all week. Eat crow. Devin says, Shanahan and Lynch have neglected the O-line for years. Now it will take years longer to build a Super Bowl winning O-line. Niners should trade for Trey Hendrickson. I agree. Rahul says, fuck Alejandro. Grant sings, Fernando. You guys are all ABBA fans because of me. Alan says, I didn't you read my comment, Grant? It's true, though. No. Kind of feel like it. Graham says, you taking the red eye home tonight? No. I missed that. I'm taking the first flight out in the morning, 6, and I didn't get a room. So I'm just going to go to LAX and chill. Is that stupid? I don't feel like paying $250 for a room that I'm going to be in for 4 hours and then leave. But I'm going to not enjoy myself tonight. I know that. Robert Sandoval says Niners need a true running back. Robinson is not the answer. CMC is past his prime as a true running back, and people are afraid to admit it. Yeah, it's true. They do. Nick Curran says, love your content. Kendrick Bourne is from Milwaukee High School in Milwaukee, Oregon. Bet you didn't know that. Fred Warner, best linebacker in the NFL for years. I did know he was from... No, I didn't know that. I know he went to Eastern Washington. Josue Ramirez says, Mac 10, not speaking Mac Dre. Mac QB1. Rahul Sharma says, Grant covers the Niners like Trump covers fake news. Thank you. Thank you. 7,300 people watching. Man, I need the Niners to win more often, man. This is great. I'm used to roasting them after losses, but this was fun. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to do my grades. Stay tuned for those. And then I'm going to go, I don't know, do something at LAX, hopefully. Everything's going to be closed, though, right? Oh, well. Thanks for watching. Best game I've ever covered. Enjoy it. Have a good weekend.